As long as any criminal, smuggler, gangbanger, rapist, or burglar exists, vengeance will always have a name of its own. And now, this city's about to turn red. Nice to see you, YouTubers and subscribers. Well, subscribers and followers. Welcome to the next episode on Starling on Sinemas. That's Cinemas with an S. And today, I'll be giving you my review. Frank Castle on Punisher Warzone. If you're new to the unit, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment on the section below. And most importantly, watch to the beginning, to the end. If not, I'm going to be armed and dangerous and standing at your backyard. And if you're watching this on Instagram, don't forget to follow. If you're new, you happen to stumble upon this page out of no clue. And like and share it with your friends and colleagues and accomplices. And most importantly, watch it from beginning to end. If not, there will be bloodshed. I, Frank Castle, also known as the Punisher, turns to the streets of New York City red, as I wage a one-man war against the crime syndicate responsible for the death of my wife and son and daughter. Aided by my trusted sidekick, Microchip, I also kill a man named Billy Russoti, and leave him horribly disfigured. Billy renames himself Jigsaw. With the rest of his crazed brother Loony Bin Jim from the asylum, he recruits criminals from every corner of the city to try to take me out. Everything that Sterling did not like about the original Punisher iteration from 2004 starring Thomas Jane, Warzone has decently improved upon these aspects. I am glad that the filmmakers decided to at least make sure that this movie was not going to be compared to the piece of sewage that came before it. So they chose to make certain approaches like skipping over his origin stories. Screw that. And just further in his career, my career as the Punisher, since we first saw this in the first film. This take on me seems more solid in the right amount of epic and grittiness. And you can see gritty written all over this. All I know is this. Punisher Warzone might have come out the same year that the inception of the Marvel Cinematic Universe took place. But this would not bring it to the level of iconic that was Iron Man in 2008. I'm sure that any plot involving the Punisher could never be too far-fetched from the average vigilante story arc that includes a whole mafia striving to become superior to its city, while being at odds with the rival gangs. But since this is a Marvel movie it doesn't take place within the MCU, there would still be high expectations because it is still an adaptation of a Marvel antihero, me. However, depending on how you feel about both the action film genre and the Marvel universe, will determine if you like the Punisher movies or not. If you like me as a person anyway. I know I'm not the most approachable antihero with all this blood on me. But if you know what to expect going into an action film with an assassin and a violent gang, and what to expect going into any Marvel film, MCU or not, then the bars would be higher than a Jason Bourne film, but equivalent to a Die Hard movie, since one of those franchises has a bigger action than the other. For the characters, it feels like everyone plays some kind of role outside of just the Mafia or Frank Castle myself. Ray Stevenson makes for a more convincing Punisher than Thomas Jane, not just in his appearance, in the costume, but during the moments where he shines in the action scenes. He jumps on the scene loaded with the guns, the guts, but no glory or no flowers for any of his victims' funerals. The way that Frank Castle was written here is the vigilante that has wiped out multiple crime families being on a killing spree and will continue to do that. But the one that he recently comes across in the opening minutes of the film leads to the crime boss becoming a very comic book type of kingpin. Jigsaw, a character who, despite having a name that is already taken in pop culture with a look that is all too familiar on Freddy Krueger, is a more menacing and vicious threat than just some regular crime boss played by John Travolta. The blood and gore that these characters give off makes itself feel more reminiscent of the Blade films with the insanity of the antagonist. Castle is being wanted. I am being wanted by the police officers for punishing gang families, but luckily, some of them would help me catch Jigsaw and his men, and his reign of terror would be over for good. I'm gonna make sure that his death is far beyond just shards of glass on his face. 29% of all Rotten Tomatoes critics recommend Punisher Warzone. The Punisher from 2004 is not and will never be in Sterling's top 10 non-MCU Marvel films. But after watching Punisher Warzone, it looks eligible enough to at least make the 10th spot with grittier action, a more intense tone, and a solidified story. For that, I speak for Sterling when I say I'll give it a C minus, 7.1 SOs out of 10. So that is the review on Punisher Warzone. You can let me know if you've seen this non-MCU Marvel film or have even heard of it. If you have, what do you think of it? Do you think it's better than the original Punisher film? Let me know. Let him know in the comments. And we will both see you next time. And I will always be watching you. See you around, suckers.